So system life cycle. System life cycle, that means the software life cycle. New software life cycle has some stages. To develop a new system, we need to follow some stages. What do you mean by stages? Steps. So let us see what is the first step. It is nothing but first we have old system. So that system will be analyzing the old system or analyzing the existing system and will be finding what are the problems it has, and then we will be trying to note down the requirements what is needed in the new system, and then we will be trying to design the new software, start designing the new software. And what is software implementation? Writing the program exact instructions in any software which we can. And then what is debugging? Finding the errors. After once we have written the instructions, we'll be trying to understand whether they are working properly or not. That is nothing but testing and debugging phase. If any errors are there, we'll rectify it and again we'll test back. And then if we are happy with this testing and debugging, then we'll go for the new system installation. And then we need to keep on maintaining that new software whenever it is required. So let us see now what is planning involves in the system installation. So in this, we'll be trying to understand, investigate the framework of a new system and describe the limitations of the proposed system and present various organizational issues in the installation of a new system. What are the various issues the organization need to face, and identify the importance of a new system for various users and outline the technologies involved. Now let us define new system. So this can be a 1 mark or 2 marks question. A new system can be created in order to replace a system that is inefficient, no longer suitable for its original purpose, and it is redundant and it is outdated. So the purpose of new system can be to increase the productivity or quality of the output, or even to minimize the cost. And the new system should reduce the errors or flaws of the existing one. And the development of most large systems involves a huge amount of time and effort and contains a lot of different stages. And if anyone asks you to define the computer system, then a computer system can be defined that includes hardware, software, and people working on it, and the immediate environment. Now, what are the steps the planning of a new system involves? The planning of a new system involves the process of thinking about various details like so what are the things we need to take care of when we are developing? So we need to take care of what is the organizational business strategy we need to follow, and we need to involve the stakeholders and end user participation while developing the new system. And then we need to use this ownership of a system, so end user should be able to understand the new system in a proper way and he need to take care of the system. And we need to train the new system, I mean train the employees with the new system. And also we need to understand the policies of the organization or the culture of the organization before we develop the new system. So these all things need to be taken care before we develop the plan the new system. And we will be trying to make a feasibility report before we exactly develop the system. And what that feasibility report consists of, the technical feasibility, that means whether existing technology is sufficient to implement the new system, or economic feasibility, whether it is cost effective or not, whether I can bear the cost or not of developing a new system at this point of time. I mean the organization can bear or not. Legal feasibility is nothing but any conflicts between the proposed system and any laws violated. And operational feasibility, are the existing organization practices and procedures are taken care to support the new system or not. And schedule feasibility is something but how long will we wait for the new system to be implemented. And now there need to be we need to do this change management. So, what are the factors involved in this change management and why do we need to manage the change? So, what is change management? It involves various factors like shifting individuals from one process to another process, from one department to another, from one present state to desired state. So, successful change management guarantees that all stakeholders, including the end users, accept and embrace the changes in their working environments. The goal is to maximize the benefits and minimize the negative impacts of change on the individuals. Now we need to take care of the compatibility issues also. So what is in this we have legacy system. So it is nothing but legacy system is nothing but old technology, hardware, computer system or application program which we are now using. Subsystems that belong to this category may still play an important role in an organization. Such a system may still be in use because its data can't be converted to a new formats and its applications can't be upgraded. Keeping a legacy system in operation involves various maintenance challenges. Even high technology agencies such as NASA use legacy systems because the system still provides the user needs, and even though the newer or more efficient technologies are available, it is clear that the exchange of data between legacy and new systems is a factor that administration needs to pay attention to. And when we merge two businesses, and we need to take care of this change also, what is that? So the main reason companies merge is to reduce the cost. So during this process, all the departments of both the companies need to ensure that all subsystems are compatible to each other. That means the software which the both the companies are using are able to manage this new change or not, or the merging of the new business. So there are some strategies to do this. So first one, keep both the information systems. That means keep both the softwares and try to understand and try to use them. But it includes high maintenance cost. Otherwise, replace both the information systems with the new one. Of course, initially we need to pay a little amount for developing a new system. So select the best information system from each company and combine them. Of course, it is very difficult for the employees to work with the information systems from another company. So select one's company information system and drop others companies, which is again a problem policy again. So we need to think of all these things when we merge the business also. So these all things to be maintained, managed. The change has to be managed by the organization. So nowadays language differences also comes. So language differences increases the communication problems. And even if individuals have some knowledge to others' mother's language, language is not only the form of communication but also a way of thinking and defining the world. Software incompatibility. So it is a situation where different software entities operate satisfactorily on the same system or on different systems linked by a local or wide area computer network. So the same software may not be able to compatible to the different networks or different operating systems. So this change also need to be taken care by our organization before they implement this. Now, different systems implementation. So, before we go for this, we need to understand what is SaaS, software as a service. So what is software as a service? So, business software can operate installed on client's infrastructure. So, the software can be operated, installed on the client's infrastructure, and premises is hosted on the dedicated service. That means all the data will be stored in different server, not in the organization actually. So, that belong to a company that provides the services. So, for example, email is a service and payroll is a service, content management is a service, so database management is another service. So, SaaS is nothing but software as a service. Why do we require that? So, here, a locally hosted system is nothing but the appropriate solution for larger and complex systems. So the locally hosted system is both the data and operating everything will be done in the same place at the same place. But whereas remote hosted system is nothing but the most appropriate solution where there is no necessary hardware equipment in place, where the administration wishes to outsource the responsibilities for maintenance support and backup security. So in remote, we don't have any hardware, additional hardware required, and maintenance support and backup security will be taken care of by SaaS only. So now let us know what is the SaaS. SaaS is a software as a service on demand software. It is nothing but a delivery method that allows software and data to be hosted and managed centrally on a remote data center. SaaS, why do we go for SaaS? SaaS is a less expensive because it has low initial cost. I need not develop any new software, so low initial cost and requires few installment investments in the installation. A little software upgradation is needed. Companies have to pay only the SaaS subscription, which is cheaper than developing a new system. So SaaS provides a scalable solution since the company has to adjust only the monthly SaaS subscription. In most cases, only a web browser and a internet connection is required to access the SaaS application, which is very easy for the business to be run. So SaaS is considered as a safe solution because applications and data reside in the cloud service of the provider's data center. However, there is a possibility of data loss if a SaaS provider goes out of the business. Of course, there is a con also. The performance of a web browser based application that is hosted in a distant data center that is accessed via internet connection is low. The performance is low compared to the software running on a local machine area network. That means if a software is there in our system itself, in our location itself, then it will be little the performance oriented one. SaaS integration with SaaS solutions or software installed locally is little bit difficult. So the integration between SaaS and our software is also, these are the cons of SaaS. Now let us see what is alternative installation processes. When we develop a new system, the installation process also need to be considered. So how do we install that new system? Whether I'll put only the new system, whether I'll continue with the same old system. So let us see that. So there are different installation things. So before we do go for that, so we will be thinking about changeover. So I need to get the new one. So changeover is the process of putting the new system and retiring the old one. So the reason for the organization to choose one implementation method, there are four, right? So we will choose any one implementation method depending upon my organizational needs. So the first one is parallel. What do you mean by parallel? So parallel changeover is both the systems work in the parallel for a short period of time. So both the systems will be running. Running two different systems simultaneously means extra costs and workload because it requires the two systems to run parallel for the certain period of time. The company has to maintain two different systems and this results in various organizational tasks. This method is not efficient if the old and new systems have completely different processing task inputs and functions. Now, the second, if we go for the second method, that is direct method. So the changeover is very risky in this direct method because this company will be plugging to new system by unplugging the old one at the same time. So once administration has decided to use this method, the changeover begins. So there is a danger of associating that if the new system doesn't function as expected. Of course, before the new system is developed, the staff has to be trained. And the pilot method is nothing but in large organizations that have multiple sites, the new system is introduced in one of the sites and extended to other sites. First, they will be implemented at one place. If that works out, then they will be implementing in other sites. The risk of this method is low, and the pilot sites can serve as the models for the rest of the company. The first group that adopts the new system is called a pilot site or pilot group. So, after the system proves successful, it is implemented into the rest of the company. Now let us go for the phased one. In the phased conversion, a company converts one module of the system at a time. So, meaning that if I have different parts of the system or if I have different departments, then I will be considering each departmental change phase wise. So, the training period is extended and adaptation of new system takes longer since each phase must be implemented separately. This is a con of it. The installation of the new system is done per module or per department. So, these are the four changeovers. We can select any one depending upon our requirement. I mean, the organization can select any one depending upon their requirement. Now, what are the problems that may arise as a part of data migration? So, when the data from old system need to be migrated to the new system, what are the different problems we get? So, data migration is method transfer of data between different formats, storage types, and computer systems. It usually takes place in automatic manner so as to achieve efficient of human resource. Data migration happens when an organizational changes, upgrades or merges into information system. So when the merging takes place, data migration happens. Many problems may arise when transferring the data from one system to another. First is incapability of moving the information due to parameters such as incompatibility with the new system, non-recognizable data structures, int, float, and all different data structures. So data may be lost or not transferred due to an incomplete data transfer, and errors may occur. Data can be misinterpreted due to the incompatibilities, because we can't say that same software, same compatibility will be there, because that is a new software and this is old software. So these are the problems we get. Even concerning date and time issues and measurable units also, we need to consider when we need to migrate the data. So we will be having different stages in data migration. Extract, first extract the data from the source system, then transform the data to the target system, and then load the data to the target system and validate the data loads, whether it has done successfully or not, whether the data migration is done successfully or not. Then when first one, data migration systems plan properly before you migrate the data. So when the planning stage depends on the extent of the migration, the planning process should also include determining the requirements of the migration parameters such as identification of the future environment. So what are the data to be migrated? So by developing the new system itself, we need to understand that what is the previous data format we have. Then we need to understand how can it be planned for migrated. Then while migrating, during the migration phase, the information technology department will need to communicate its plans, install and configure any necessary software or hardware to proceed this data migration from old system to new system. And then once the data is migrated, once we feel that the data migration is finished, then we need to validate whether the uh, data transferred, data migrated has been done successfully or not. So the pre-migration test to validate data is highly recommended in addition to post-migration validation. So these tests will check that the data is in the same state after the migration and before the migration. Now let us see what are the various types of testing we have. So testing can happen in different ways in different phases. Functional testing, data testing. So in functional testing, we'll be trying to understand the programming instructions like individual commands, text input, what is the input we are trying to give, and what are the different menus we have, which confirms the function correctly, whether it is performing the correct function or not. For example, if a choice is made to add a client, does the program go to the add clients module? So this is about functionality, whether it is going to the correct functionality or not. And data testing is nothing but when normal and abnormal and extreme data. What do you mean by normal data? See, normal data is nothing but if I want 76 to be checked, whether it is pass or fail, messages are appropriately provided. So data at the limits for the 76 is 0, 59, 60, 100 are all examples of normal data at the limits. So data testing will be taking place whether it is considered as normal data or whether it is abnormal data or whether it's extreme data is put into the system. What type of data we are trying to exactly put in the new system. Suppose that there is a program that accepts a student percentage in math exam and gives a pass message if the number is entered greater than or equals to 60. Otherwise, it prints a fail message. The program can be tested with 76. So greater than 60 is 76, so that is normal data. But greater than 60 can be 60 or 100 or 0 or 59. So these are all data at the limits. Now extreme data, let us see what is extreme data outside the normal limits. Means, see, normally marks means 0 to 100 will be there. So if I try to give below that or above that, then this is extreme data. And when you do validation, it should be rejecting it. What do you mean by abnormal data now? So if I am trying to will it is nothing but a type of data we really did not expect that the particular program will be taking care. Like it could be a data that looks like a string, a character, and not like an integer. For example, if I give it in double quotes 45, where I need to enter the 45 as integer, but if I am using double quotes or in the space in between, or if I try to give 2 marks by writing it as TWO, that is character based, so that comes under abnormal data where the system can't identify that it is integer 2 or it is 45 marks. So that type of data where the data conversion is not taking place properly is nothing but abnormal data. Now let us see what are the different testing: alpha testing, beta testing, dry run testing, unit testing. Alpha testing is nothing but it is done before the software product is made available to public. So before I release the software to everyone, I do this. Alpha testing will be carried out by the company that develops the software in a laboratory type environment and not by the end users or their workspaces. Now, what is beta testing? It includes comments and suggestions of the users. Unlike alpha testing, users outside the company are involved in this testing. Thus, feedback is valuable and can be used to fix defects and errors that were missed, and also contributes in the preparation of support teams that will deal with the expected issues. So dry run testing is conducted with pen and paper by the programmer. Dry run testing, during this, the programmer mentally runs the program. He examines the source code and decides what the output can be. And during unit testing, individual parts of the system are tested separately. If I have 10 modules or 10 units, or 10 departments, functionalities, so I'll be trying to search it in a individual phase. And what is integration testing? Once the unit testing is done, the entire system is tested again at the same time to verify that all components can work together. And what is user acceptance testing? It is nothing but if the system satisfies the customer needs, and in most cases, it is conducted in user premises before accepting the transfer of ownership. And debugging is nothing but is a systematic process of finding and correcting the number of bugs. Bugs are nothing but errors in the computer program. So before we transfer or deploy software, we need to conduct the testing phase. If any errors are there, we need to rectify it and then deploy it. Let us see the difference between validation and verification. Validation is nothing but it is a process of evaluating whether data input follows the appropriate specifications or it is within the limits asked, like 0 to 100. Verification is nothing but ensuring that the data input is same as the original source data. For example, if I'm trying to enter 45 in double quotes, then it's not the same data as expected. So a way of ensuring data verification is through double entry. So we will be trying to ask again and again. So let us see what is verification and validation software testing. Why do we go for that? Verification is the confirmation that the computer product meets identified specifications, while validation is the confirmation that the computer product meets its design function and it is appropriate for the intended use. Verification, confirmation of the computer product meets identified specifications. Validation means it means the defined function. The functionality will be correctly done. So, in validation, are we developing the current system will be identified. In verification, are we developing the system correctly is understood. So, what do you mean by that? So, the data which is provided is correct or not. Whether the integer format or whether the employee's data is provided properly or not. So, in validation, does the product meet the customer needs? And in verification, does the product comply with the specific regulation or conditions or the policies which we need to actually? So we'll be trying to verify that. Now let us think what is user focus. In what the user need to be focusing. So whenever we try to deploy the new system, the other users need to be understood how what is that they have to do in that. So a proper guidelines should be provided. So a systematic and organized software development supports the documents like internal documentation and external documentation. What do you mean by internal documentation? It's nothing but the code comprehension features and details provided as part of the source code itself. So they will be trying to make them understand they then and there itself when they write the programming statements about what is this module by giving headers and some comments, what is this functionality doing here, and some suitable using meaningful variable names and module names and appropriate code indentation to easily understand what is happening in that function, and structuring of the code, and using different data types and constant identifiers wherever it is required. So these all things will be taken care in internal documentation. Now, what is external? It is a separate document made for the program itself, but it makes us understand that user how to use that application. Software requirement specification document will be given. A detailed description of the design and implementation features, how to install the software, and if at all these errors have come, how to rectify that, and the test document. So if we got this all errors and we try to understand and we have tested all this and we have rectified this, again tested it, so we will be trying to provide all these details. Now coming to different methods of providing user documentation can be in written or online form. Okay, written or online form. The user documentation should include all the instructions that are mandatory for the system to operate and should contain frequently asked questions so that it will be easy for the new users to understand. And we can provide some manuals, that is written or printed material, online or offline, and we can also give email support whenever they require. If they have any problems, user can contact the support system who has developed the system, and embedded assistance or integrated user assistance. So we will be trying to make them understand by using some softwares like MS Office and providing tool tips and dynamic page content wherever it is required. And frequently asked questions will also be provided in this, so that the users where whoever gets these questions, they can easily try to understand what is the answer for that. And live chat sessions by the technicians, and they will be describing the occurring problem and they will be trying to give the possible solutions, or a telephone call or a live chat session or a video can help these things. So this is also one of the external documentation. And online portals or web portals. Online support is also provided for the new software developed by giving updated manuals, support pages, and FAQ pages. Remote desktop connections. Remote desktop is a function that enables a specialized person to connect to the user's PC across the net from virtually any computer. Remote desktop will actually allow a specialized technician to take control of user's PC as though was sitting directly in front of it. This solution is ideal if the user is not at all experienced. This solution has different disadvantages because the technician is allowed to have full access over the other PC. Now let us see different methods of delivering user training. So after user is trained, it is impossible to take full advantage of new advanced IT system without proper training. So all the staff should be familiar with the new system, as they will make mistakes if they are not properly trained. Staff can be trained by self instruction, formal classes, or online trainings. User training can be delivered in a number of different ways depending on the variety of factors such as number of students, availability of the instructors, the size of the business, and the training budget. Self instruction is nothing but it gives allows the user to learn by his own time until he or she masters the subject. Printed manuals, books, and ebooks are provided for them, or some videos, tutorials. The disadvantage is that lack of guidance or teacher support, and the final result depend on the motivation of the user and their ability to learn. Whereas formal classes offers the interactive setting that promotes open and free discussion between students and the teacher. Having several students learning in the same classroom has the additional advantage of allowing students to exchange ideas with one another. Direct interaction with the expert allows for ideas to be exchanged easily and without any barriers. A classroom situation may disadvantage shy members, so because the classroom can also obstruct one's ability to learn by allowing others. So, remote or distance or online learning. The main benefit of asynchronous online learning is that it allows the participants to take part in the high quality courses from anywhere in the world, provided they have PC and internet connection. This type of virtual classroom is accessible 24/7. So 365 days. Time efficiency and time management are valuable strengths of distance learning. An online educational program requires participants who are able to access the online learning environment. Lack of required infrastructure will exclude otherwise eligible students from the online course. And then coming to system backup, causes of data loss. So, data loss refers to the error condition where data is lost or destroyed due to the system failure, storage negligence, or even transmission of processing errors. So, various precautions can be taken in order to prevent or restore data loss for both hardware and software. The cost of data loss depends on how costly it may be to go on without the data, how costly it may be to create the data, as well as how costly it may be to notify the users of the data loss. So, causes accidental deletion or administrative errors, poor data storage organization system, building fires, closing the program without saving the file, computer viruses, continued use of after signs of failure. So these all need to be taken care, and data can be corrupted, firmware corruption, natural disasters, outsiders wanting to delete, alter. So we need to take regular backup, need of a firewall, need of authentication methods are required. And for power failure, we can take the UPS backup support to stop the data loss. Now, consequences of data loss. So sometimes it might be okay, but sometimes it will cost us more. For example, if the medical records of the patient in the hospitals are lost, the patient life can be in danger. So data loss is not that dangerous in all cases, but retrieval is time consuming and might not always be possible. Imagine a situation where a client books a hotel room over the phone. When she or he arrives, the receptionist informs him or her that there is no record of his booking or no rooms are available. The client has to search for another hotel, perhaps informing friends and colleagues on the social media, and it is very discomfort for that. Now, coming to fail over systems, redundancy, removable software. In case of system crash, then we have stored in them can be lost forever. The data we have stored in them can be lost forever or inaccessible. So what we should do? Regular backups, firewall installation, data storage in two or more locations, or removed hard copies, and installation of antivirus, regularly updating them, human error reduction techniques, and online autosave backup like using iCloud and Dropbox backs. Redundancy is a duplication of data storage devices and store data of a computer system with the intention of securing the stored data. It is considered as fail-safe method. And we'll be using CDs, DVDs, Blu-ray discs, diskettes, USBs are removable media that are used for fast data backup and data storage. A failover system is a computer system which is on standby capable of switching to a spare computer system upon hardware failure, network failure, or any other type of error, such as software malfunction. A failover system is a computer system which is used for standby capable of switching to that system whenever hardware is failed or network is failed or any types of errors. The main difference between failover and a switchover is a degree of needed human intervention. A failover is automatic and handles abnormal situations without human interference. In a failover system, when primary server fails, the standby server is made primary. In a switchover system, the primary and secondary server interchange the primary role. So critical systems typically allow for failover to take place on system failure so as to provide reliability and continuous availability. Now, coming to strategies for managing releases and updates. So there are automatic updates that function through the net. These types of updates usually aim to improve the product, fix various deficiencies. So we need to constantly update our softwares, and whenever we don't do that, it it stops releasing updates, the life cycle of the new system having started some time before. So, patches are used by software companies to update the applications by fixing known bugs and vulnerabilities. Upgrades always contain novel functionalities or characteristics as well as cumulative bug fixes. So, some updates improve the product in a minor way by adding new functionalities. Releases are final working versions of software applications.